Elzar Mann folds his arms, concerned at Sskeer's demand for more Jedi. He warns that Avar's operations are close to stepping on the toes of the Jedi Council, especially since the fair unvalo draws near. But the grainy image of Sskeer's hologram points out that this is the last thing on any of their minds. Then the transmission suddenly cuts and Elzar turns to Administrator Jahen, who informs him that there is something wrong with the communication network as a whole. Hand in face, he turns to an astromech droid and asks if there's any luck in contacting Master Gios, to which the astromech provides a distinctively technical response in a series of beeps and boops. On Mulita, the Jedi and the Hutt clans clash in a ferocious battle against the Drengir. Jedis both familiar and new fight alongside the brutal soldiers of the Hutts, with the Drengirs responding in equal ferocity. As the battle rages on, Master Sskeer rides a rancor, while Master Chomac battles on foot. However, while the Hutts and Jedi fight on valiantly, it is clear that the battle is a struggle. Tendrils shoot up and grab hold of Sskeer's rancor, dragging it onto the ground with a dramatic crash. The tendrils of the Drengir swarm the Trandoshan Jedi and the Hutt, threatening to envelop them completely. In the midst of the battle, an unnamed Jedi holding his green lightsaber in a reverse grip looks up and asks, "What is that?" From the ranks of the Drengir emerges dozens of arthropods, throwing themselves straight at the Jedi. Sarek and Tarek both watch in amazement, noting the Drengir's ability to weaponize the local arthropods, a symbiotic relationship much like that of the Shishak tree and the Char ant on Kashyyyk. But while the two scholars may be impressed by the complexity of the native ecosystem, the Hutt remains unconvinced, preferring to deal with the threat with force than admire its beauty. However, the arthropods are many and the Hutt and the Jedi are few. But as they leap forward, pincers widening, they begin to explode in the air. Streaks of lasers fly down from the sky, scattering bits of arthropods all over the place. A shuttle lands, and from its dark interior, Keeve Trennis emerges with Orla Jareni following close behind, both with lightsabers in hand. While Sskeer was unable to receive more reinforcement from the Starlight Beacon, this was better than nothing. The Jedi quickly positioned themselves side by side, fighting as a team, fighting as part of a singular force. With the smell of burnt insects and leaves in the air, it appears as though the Jedi have finally managed to gain a foothold in this desperate battle. As Keeve dances her way around the battlefield, she suddenly trips. Recovering, she looks at the oddly shaped object and recognizes it to be the helmet of a Nile soldier. This could only mean one thing: the Nile had been here before. But there was no time to contemplate on the gravity of this revelation. Keeve looks up, and rising before her was the great progenitor itself, and clutched tightly among its tendrils is the beaten frame of the Marshal herself. Tarek asks if they should call for the others, but Keeve whips out her double-bladed lightsaber and looks on with fierce determination. That would not be necessary. They would be enough. The great progenitor scoffs at this foolishness as more arthropods rush forward to protect their leader. Just like the Dark Lords and the thieves before them, all will bow before the great progenitor. The spread of the Drengir Empire is only just beginning. As the two fend off the onslaught of the arthropods, Keeve realizes the great progenitor's plan. It would use the mind meld ability of Avar Kriss to connect with all the Jedi, and in turn subjugating the Jedi under the control of the root mind. The great progenitor affirms her realization and through Avar, force chokes Keeves into the air. But like many agents of darkness that come before and will come after, all are blinded by their own arrogance. While Avar's ability does allow the great progenitor to connect with all the Jedi, it also brings them together, and the Jedi together are a true force to be reckoned with. Together, the Jedi meld into one, combining their use of the Force and sharing a singular mind. They cut off the great progenitor from the root mind. Enraged, the great progenitor launches Avar into the air, but the Master is far from helpless. She lands back on her feet. The Sith had once locked the great progenitor away from the root mind through the use of the totems, but unlike the Dark Lords, the Jedi would not lock the great progenitor away to protect themselves, but to protect others. But not everyone possesses the wisdom of the Jedi. The Hutts all raise their weapons to shoot down the Great Progenitor, but Avar orders them to back down. The Jedi surround the Drengir leader and begin to activate the stasis field generators, disrupting the Drengir's telepathic ability. The stasis generator fizzles to a start and envelops the Great Progenitor in a field of yellow electricity, and with that, the Drengir threat comes to an end. But not everyone is convinced. The Hutt, still intent on spilling more blood, demand the death of the Drengir, but the Jedi refuse this demand and will instead secure the creature in the Bogan Vault on the Starlight Beacon, where the Drengir will sleep once more. And should the Hutt insist on further violence, the Jedi will stand in their way. Without a choice, the Hutts leave the planet. The Jedi celebrate their hard-earned victory, looking forward to inform the Council about their successes. But Estella Maru cuts the euphoria short. Catastrophe has struck the fair on Valo. The Nile have returned. So that is what happened in issue 8 of the High Republic. Was that action-packed or what? We finally get to see the Jedi face off against the Great Progenitor, and it really seems as though the Drengir threat has been dealt with completely. Although the fact that the Jedi are going to store it in the Starlight Beacon does raise a whole lot of questions, and it will probably come into play sometime in the future. There was also a sense of poetic justice in which Chomac, Reath, and Orla were part of the team that helped capture the Great Progenitor, given that they were the ones who released them in the first place. I did notice, however, that Orbalin does appear in this issue fighting against the Drengir alongside the rest of the Jedi. However, he also makes an appearance in the Rising Storm, which kinda raises a lot of questions as how he has appeared in both events, since both events are supposed to run concurrently. But Kevin Scott has already announced on Twitter that there is a good reason for this, so we'll probably just have to wait and find out. I was hoping for a bit more of a battle between the Jedi and the Great Progenitor, and especially with Avar Kriss. However, other than that, I really did enjoy this issue especially. So for more High Republic content, be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Lost Acolyte,
and I have spoken.